let's get into the webinar today. So, how Bizink's clients outperform MailChimp's top category by 10%. So, I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean by that in just a second. Just some housekeeping before I get started. So, if you have any technical issues, just use the chat or the Q&A to talk to Anthea, who's also on the session from Bizink, and she'll do her best to help you out. So let's get into it. So MailChimp is market-leading email marketing platform. You've probably heard of it. It's very popular with accountants and bookkeepers. And we were doing some analysis a couple of months ago, and looking at the open rates and click-through rates in MailChimp. So one of the things that MailChimp do really well is they really analyze the millions of emails that they send every month, and they publish these statistics. So you can see in the table on screen, these are their top performing categories. So number one is hobbies, and the open rate 27.35% and a click rate of 4.78%. And you can see some of the other ones there. So government, obviously people probably take a bit of notice of the government emails, and some other categories there. So, MailChimp, market-leading platform, sending high proportion of the world's email marketing. Top category 27.35% open rate, click rate of 4.78%. Now we analyze that against the emails that we send for clients. So we send, well, not millions, but like tens of thousands of emails every month for clients, and we took a look. So we aggregate those statistics. These are anonymized across all of our clients. And we aggregate those. And what we found was that we were actually beating MailChimp by quite some way. So if I pull up the statistics with Bizink added in at the top, so this is all the emails that we send for clients, you can see that 39.81% open rate. So it's nearly 12.5% higher than MailChimp's top performing category. And the click rate is higher as well. It's 0.6 higher than that hobbies click rate. So when we saw that, I thought, first of all, that's pretty cool, nice thing to talk about for us. But also what I thought was, it'd be pretty cool to share how we achieve those things for clients. It's not all down to us, it's down to our clients as well. But I wanted to share those tactics with you because you can apply them in your own firm. So, just before I get into that, open rate 39.81%, click rate 5.38. Now, I don't know how much email marketing you do, but they're pretty good numbers. Obviously they are, because you can see what MailChimp do, and so we're beating them by quite some way. But if you think that if you had a list of 500 and you sent an email out, that means that 200 people are going to read that email, or at least open it, and 27, based on that click-through rate, are going to do something, actually going to click on that. Now, considering that email marketing is really inexpensive, that's a highly effective form of marketing. So imagine you're trying to sell a new service to your clients, then you could send an email out, and get a really good open rate, really good click-through rate as well. So, Bizink's clients are accounting firms just like you. And so how is it that we're beating one of the market leaders by so much? Well, honestly, there's nothing too clever about what we do. And actually some of it is quite boring. And I think that's, I actually think that's pretty cool. You don't have to be really creative and original to do well in marketing. In fact, creativity is a little bit overrated in marketing. And actually, what does work is copying and repeating that, tried and tested formulas. It's weird that there's always this idea that you've got to do something new and creative in marketing instead of, these are things that work, do them, repeat them, and on you go. So that's really, it's true with all marketing, but it's especially true with email marketing. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So before we get into that, just a little bit about myself. My name is Matt Wilkinson. I'm the founder and CEO of Bizink, and we work with several hundred accounting firms worldwide. So helping them with obviously email marketing, but other websites and a lot of other types of marketing as well. And I've been working with accountants since 2010, and before that as a marketer since the late 1990s. So I'm going to run through some of the points of how we achieve those kind of really high statistics in terms of email open rates and click-through. And the first one that I want to look at is deliverability. So deliverability is just simply, how many emails that send get actually delivered. Because obviously if your email doesn't get delivered, it doesn't matter how good the email is, how good the content is, the subject line, it's not delivered, it's worthless. So if you're going to be sending email marketing, you need to use a tried and tested provider. So we use one called SendGrid. So we have our own email marketing app, but we send the emails to SendGrid and they then send them out. And the reason why we do that is to ensure really good deliverability, security, and SendGrid's like an industry leader for sending emails. They're used by Uber, Spotify, Airbnb, a bunch of other huge corporations. So, if you're using like a MailChimp, a Campaign Monitor, Active Campaign, one of those big email brands, they've all got good deliverability as well. Because not only is that going to, if your emails don't get delivered, your email marketing won't be effective, but also if you're sending emails and they're bouncing a lot, that can actually damage the reputation of your domain as well, and that could affect the normal emails that you're sending through, like Outlook or Gmail to clients. And we've seen examples of firms that's happened to, where they've been doing some dubious. They've sent it through like a low quality provider, and it's affected their domain. And we do a bunch of extra stuff. I'm not going to go into it in detail because it's pretty techy and boring, but to authenticate domains for email sending. So what we actually do is help our clients add some records to their domain, things like called SPF records or DKIM records, if you wanted to Google those and find a little bit more. If you're ever suffering from insomnia and wanted to fall asleep quickly, then go and look up that stuff. But the short thing is it's really important to do it, because what you're doing is telling the main email providers like Outlook or Gmail to trust email that's being sent through whichever application you choose to send your marketing emails. So you should do that whether you use Bizink, MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, any of those. Do some of that domain authentication as well. So deliverability kind of like that gets you to the doorstep, right? But you then got to get your emails opened and read. So to get your emails opened, you need to focus on really simple subject lines. When it comes to email, honest and obvious beats clever and creative every time. Emails with simple explanatory subject lines get much better open rates than ones with kind of salesy or kind of marketing type copy. So I'll actually show you what I mean by that. This again is data from MailChimp. So in 2018, but they do this every year, right? They look at all the subject lines. This is over like 40 million emails they looked at. Which email subject lines performed best and which didn't do well at all. So you can see on the left column, the best open rates, 60 to 87%. Like that's really high. And then the worst ones you can see down there, 1 to 14%. So you can see that the first one, it's a super boring, seemingly a super boring subject line. Obviously the company name would be your firm's names. That's just like a placeholder, like a merge field. But if you read through all of those, they're very simple explanatory emails and subject lines. And so it's not necessarily just that the subject line itself is amazing. There's also some other factors there that, who's the company who's sending it, and who are they sending it to? If you're getting emails from a really good company, you're going to open them more than one you don't trust. But that just shows that you don't need to be clever with your subject lines. And actually the ones on the right, which, I could say more salesy, marketing type copy, they just don't get the same open rates. So, the majority of emails that we're sending for Bizink clients are newsletters with very simple subject lines like the ones you can see in that left column. And that's why we get the high open rates. So repetition is the third point that I really want to drive home. And most accounting firms send nowhere near as many emails as they should. I think there's a feeling that you could really annoy clients and prospects by sending too many emails. The reality is that, first of all, most people don't open your email. So even with a high open rate, like, we get like 40% on average, that means 60% of people didn't open the email. It won't have even registered with them. So, you could send that email again, and, different people would open it. But even people who did open it, often they just, forget to act, or, they even forget you sent it, so they open it, read it, forget about it. And, I'm sure, as it takes multiple touch points in terms of marketing before people respond. You read different statistics on this, but it's like, you have to mention something to somebody 7 times or 11 times. The number doesn't really matter, but the truth is it's multiple times. So, if you were promoting a new service to your clients, let's say, a cash flow planning service, do you think if you just sent one email, you would get a response? I mean, you might get 1 or 2 would get in touch with you. But the reality is, you've got to send that email lots of times, because, first time you send it, some people are going to be on leave. Some people will just be busy the day you sent it and just ignored it. Or the timing was just wrong. With a cash flow planning service, someone might, be doing fine. A few months later, they're not. It's really interesting to them at that time. So timing is everything in marketing. So repeat the emails you send, and often you should be sending them multiple times. For example, we've got an email that we send, a marketing email that we send out, and it outperforms all of our other marketing emails. We wrote it in 2014, and we still send the same email 3 or 4 times a year. And every time we send it, we get a few clients. And, if you think of big corporations, they send this, I'm not necessarily talking about email marketing here, but, they show the same adverts, do the same stuff again and again because it works. So repetition is really important in email marketing. Don't feel like just because you've sent an email once, you can't send it again. You have to keep driving home the message. Point 4, subject line is going to help you get your email opened. But obviously, once it's open, you want the recipient of that email to take action. And that's where having really well-designed emails is key. So what do I mean by well-designed emails? Well, the first thing is your emails need to be mobile friendly. People's phones are now their primary email device. I'm sure you're the same. Even if you're going back to your desk and deal with emails, you're checking them on your phone all the time. So you've got to make your emails mobile friendly. And so typically that's going to mean a simple 1-column design that looks great on all devices. And that's exactly what we do for clients. The second thing is, don't send a PDF or something with attachments. So, we still see firms sending out, often from the third-party providers, really horrible kind of PDFs, really long, and nobody reads that stuff, right? If that landed in your phone, it's just not even readable on a phone. And the same with attachments. You shouldn't, in email marketing, to never send an attachment, because It's going to get you most likely blocked by spam. It's just not the way it should work. Attachment's fine, obviously, if you're sending things to a client one-on-one, but in terms of email marketing, you need to send an email, not a PDF, not an attachment, send an email. And that email should be as short as possible. Obviously, you've got to convey some information, so that needs to have a certain length to it, but don't put all of the content in the email. If you want someone to read a blog post, maybe put the first paragraph, a snippet, and then put a read more, because that gets them then onto your website. Keeps the email short, first of all, but then it gets them onto your website a way they can transact with you better than their inbox. Images do increase engagement and they work well. Use them sparingly. You don't want to jam up the email and make it too long with images, and don't want it to take too long to download. So some images work really well to bring an email to life. And then you've also got to have really clear calls to action. So buttons work really well. So people, especially on a phone, it's hard to click on links sometimes. So, clear calls to action. If you want people to read more, if you want people to call you, put a button in the email. And the final thing is just always have your contact details on your email template. So some people might want to call you. Make sure that the contact details are there in the email template. So the final point in terms of how we achieve the high open rates is a really good contact list. And this is the last one. I want to keep this a really short and practical webinar, but this is the last point, but it's one to really dwell on and say, your list is the most important thing in your email marketing, and actually, beyond that in a lot of your marketing in general. So, we can't take credit for this at our clients' lists, but it's so important. If you think about, if you've got a really relevant list, you can send an average email to that list and you'll get a good response. So, average email to a great list will always beat a great email to an average list. So that means things like segmenting your list as well. Don't send an email about, one service that doesn't apply to a bunch of clients. Don't send that to all of your list. Segment your list down and send it only to the people who it's relevant to. But like I say, we can't take credit for the lists that our clients use through our software. But the statistics that I've shown you, beating MailChimp's top category by 12.5%, what that shows is accounting firms' clients, they read your emails. And so that's why you should be putting email marketing right at the top of your list of marketing tactics. 100% of your clients have got an email address. And we know that, let's say 40% of them are going to open your emails, 5% are going to click on them. And actually that open rate, that's across all of the emails we send for clients. We see some clients, especially around their newsletters, getting open rates of like 60, 70%, sometimes more. So really high. So email marketing should be right up there, because if you compare that to, say, those kind of numbers to, say, social media, if 100% of your clients have an email address, how many of them are on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn? Yeah, of course, like lots of them will be, but nowhere near 100%. And most people check their inbox several times a day. Most business people aren't on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn several times a day, or certainly the ones who've got successful businesses on. And if you post to, say, Facebook, how many people actually read and click those posts? Even for us at Bizink, we've got a pretty good following on social media. We post quite regularly. We don't get amazing numbers out of there. So I'm not saying social media is not effective, but to where I'd prioritize that in your marketing mix, email can work so well for you. So a good contact list, super important. That's going to be the most important part of your email marketing mix. So if you want to kind of, I've shared those tips so you can implement those in whatever software you like. I just want to show you what we do in terms of email marketing. So, we've built a platform that's just for accountants. We can send out 3 main types of emails that we send out: email newsletters, email blasts, what we call promotional emails, and email automations as well. So things like lead nurturing or courses, things like that. The big difference between us and someone like MailChimp would be MailChimp's the tool. We're the tool plus the content. So we have, probably not as many features as MailChimp, but, enough features. But what we do is write the email newsletters, we write the email blasts, we write the email automations for you. And that's what we find is the pain point for most firms, creating the content. So email marketing is built into our websites. So, it's built into our marketing platform, which is called Ascend. So instead of having to, have a MailChimp, which is like a bolt-on, another piece of software, for example, for our website clients, the email marketing sits within the website. So you've just got one place to manage everything. So if you'd like to find out more, Anthony is going to post a link to talk to one of our sales team in the chat, or if you just type yes into the chat, and we can follow you up and send you some information about Bizink email marketing. Final thing that I wanted to tell you about: we're running our annual accounting marketing survey at the moment. So we're running this throughout May, and this is where we kind of benchmark the profession's marketing. And last time we did it, over 400 firms submitted that. We created a report based on the results, and that's both useful to you, and it helps us create content that's more relevant to you as well. So the survey takes, 2 minutes or 3. I think we timed it's like just under 3 minutes to complete. But there's a prize fund of, I think it's over $23,000 of prizes, and that includes a bunch of email marketing stuff in there. So Anthony's going to post that into the chat as well. And if you want to, like I say, spend less than 3 minutes filling that in, you'll go into the draw to win those prizes. So like I said, 400 people filled it in last time. The odds are pretty good of winning something. You'll also get a report when we write that. So that will share a bunch of insights into what firms across the globe are doing in terms of marketing, and how you can improve your marketing. So to sum up what we've talked about today, so just to reiterate, email marketing is a super effective tactic. As I said, all of your clients have an email address. Lots of them will open your emails. Compared to other industries, lots of them are going to open your emails, and lots will click on them. So it should be high on your list of marketing tactics. To get really good deliverability, you need to use a reputable provider. As I mentioned, we use a service that's also used by the likes of Uber and Spotify, Airbnb, MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, some of those big names as well. They've got excellent deliverability too. Keep your subject line simple. Can't reiterate that enough. Don't try and be clever with that stuff. People are sick of being marketed to. And that's, if you're not a really good copywriter, then you're probably not going to come up with something that good anyway. So just say what's in the email. You can see from MailChimp's statistics, that's the stuff that gets opened. Repetition, super important. So important, I've written it 3 times. And sending the same emails is not like failing in marketing, it's actually succeeding. So, sending the same stuff repeatedly. Make sure you're sending good emails in the first place, but you need to repeat, because people people take time for the message to sink in when you're sending it to them. Timing is really important. So, if that people will buy from you when they're ready, not when you want them to. So make sure you're repeating your emails. Modern design techniques really important. So, like I mentioned, don't be sending things like PDFs, mobile friendly, simple templates that can be read on all devices, and make sure you've got clear calls to action in them, so that people don't have to scroll around. If you want them to buy something off you, put a big buy now button. That's what's going to get a good response. And the final point, probably the most important one, a really good list is essential. The best list you've got is your clients. I mean, a lot of firms we know haven't got a really good prospect list. They've got a kind of ragtag bunch of business cards and Excel spreadsheets and things like that. So, I mean, that's another story. That's a whole webinar in itself, is how to build a leads database. But you've all got a list of clients, and I know for a fact most firms, when I ask them, do your clients know about all the services you offer? Most of them say no. And what better way to kind of let your clients know about what you do than by email? 40% of them or more are going to open that email. So that could be something you implemented after this webinar. Send an email out about a service that you could help your clients with. You're going to get a good response. So thanks very much for coming along today. I hope that's been useful to you. And if you want to ask me any questions about email marketing or anything that's come up today, I'm going to stick around for a few minutes now to answer those questions. So you can use the Q&A panel to fire those questions in, and I will endeavor to answer them for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. We've got a couple of questions already. The first one is, in terms of Bizink's email marketing platform, how do we actually get the contacts in there?
To get them in there, so there's a couple of ways you can do it. The first one is import them as a CSV. Pretty easy way to do it. If you're using MailChimp, we've actually got a kind of like an integration there that can pull in your contacts list, and that will remember who's unsubscribed and subscribed and all that kind of thing. So they're kind of like, if you're getting started, they're the two main ways to do it. Once you're going with Bizink email marketing, you can like put a form on your website, or if you've got a website with us, people can just subscribe through your website. And then final thing is coming soon, we've got an integration with Zero Practice Manager, and that's actually just going to sync the contacts between the two, get rid of data entry, and make that part super easy if you're using Zero's practice management.
Awesome. Robert's asking, how do you build a quality list of prospects?
Yeah, good question. We do get asked this a lot, and there's lots of different ways to do it, right? So the first one I'd say is like, make sure your website is a lead capturer, if that's a word. What you need to do is, rather than your website just being a brochure, you need some ways to capture email addresses. And unfortunately, sign up for our newsletter, it's a bit, no one's going to do it, right? Like, you've got to give people an incentive. So give away some content in exchange for email addresses, because email addresses are super valuable. That's what we've just been talking about. So you look on the best websites, they have what we would call lead magnets, where they give away some valuable content in exchange for an email address. So, we do that for our clients. We give away things like business plan courses or downloads, things like that, to capture email addresses. Other than that, I think, obviously, in your day-to-day kind of work, you should be, you're talking to a lot of people. Ask them if, they want to sign up for your lists. Business cards, again, I wouldn't just add someone to your list. You've got to ask them, but that's another great way to build a list. doing things like this, like events or webinars, that they're a great way to get people interested in what you're doing, get their email addresses, and keep talking to them. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways, but I think what I'd say is make it a priority to build your list every month. Obviously, you've got your client list. You should also have a prospect list, and setting a goal to say, okay, say you've got 200 people on that list, trying to increase that by, even if it's 10% a month. So you're trying to get 20 new names onto your list every month. Not actually that hard, but over time that starts to really build. So I think there's lots of different ways you can do it, but setting that as a goal for your marketing is really important.
Great. We've got another question about how many emails should you actually send?
Again, it's a really good question, and I guess it depends, but probably more than you think would be my answer. So to give a kind of summary of what I'd say, generally for firms, what we would recommend would be you should send an email newsletter to clients every single month. So once a month, send an email out to all of your clients, and that keeps you in touch with them, keeps you top of mind. Can start conversations which lead to extra billing opportunities. So that's one email you should definitely send. And a lot of firms do that, but what most firms don't do is send email blasts. So I would also be sending an email blast to all of your clients and all of your prospects as well. So by an email blast, I mean a one-off promotional email. So, let's say it could be you're doing an event and you send out that email, or you've launched a new cash flow planning service, send an email out about that. So I'd be scheduling in, one email like that to prospects, one to clients every month. So that's 3 emails every single month that I would be sending without fail. And, maybe more than that. If you're segmenting your list up into different types of clients, you could be sending more emails than that. But so I wouldn't put an absolute number on it, but definitely more than you think. I've rarely met a firm who's sending enough emails.
Following on from that question, I guess what's the best time and day to send an email?
Yeah, that's a good question. Depends, right, from firm to firm, but I would say don't send emails on a Monday and don't send them on a Friday. Probably wouldn't send them on a weekend either. So what we've found the best days to send emails with our clients are usually like a Tuesday or Thursday. Wednesday's okay as well, but like Tuesday, Thursday, good days. And in terms of time, just within business hours, I prefer to send them either like mid-morning or mid-afternoon. We found, I mean, it's really hard to compare sometimes because there's lots of factors that can affect things, to do with vacation or weather, or there's all different kinds of things. But generally, you're pretty safe within those kind of days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, mid-morning, mid-afternoon. I think they're kind of sweet spots that you can send on and, be pretty comfortable that you're going to get a good result. We have had success personally, when we're sending things through at Bizink. Sometimes we've tried some weird times out of office hours, weekends, and they can get picked up. But I think your sweet spot is those kind of middle of the weekdays.
Robert's got a question about Ascend. If you could just give a bit more information. Is it a standalone service that we provide?
Yeah, so what Ascend was, when Bizink launched, we were mainly a website company. And what we realized was that there were plenty of firms that wanted to work with us, but they were quite happy with their existing website, but they still wanted our content and marketing tools. So that's what we built. Those firms are who we built Ascend for. So if you want to keep your existing website, but work with Bizink, Ascend is, we call it a marketing hub. So it can be like a standalone website, or you can just use the content off it and put it onto your existing site. And it can also be an email marketing app, similar to like a MailChimp or Campaign Monitor, except we write the content for you. So, whereas you'd have to write your newsletter in MailChimp, in Bizink, we'll set that up for you and automatically send that for you every month.
Awesome. Those are all the questions I can see for now, so thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Anthea, and thanks for your questions, everybody. And thanks again for your time today. I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope you can, take away the fact that, email marketing for accountants works really, really well. I'm always banging the drum for this, only because the statistics really back it up, especially when you compare it to some of the other types of marketing that you can do. So hopefully some of those tips will help you start doing more of your own email marketing and achieving some really good open and click rates like you can see with Bizink clients. So yeah, thanks for coming today. I'm going to wrap up there and enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are.